So the S&P 500 and the JSE indices are still both trading far below their all-time high. I mean, if you are to look at the S&P 500 in the US, which tracks the top 500 companies in the US or listed in the US Stock Exchange, it is still trading below 10%, its all-time high. Same goes with the JSE top 40. It is still trading far below its all-time high. Now, this, ladies and gents, just has to make you or shows you that they are quite a number of stocks which are still trading far below their all-time high, which though to some other people it might be still causing them to panic and selling their shares at a loss. To others, these low trading prices of the markets or in the markets offers a good opportunity to those that want to load the boat on the top quality favorite stocks, or those quality stocks that used to be so expensive and now due to the market crash they are trading at a discounted price. Now, without a waste of time, on today's video, guys, I want to give you one of the most undervalued stock trading in the JSE. And this, of course, is based on my opinion, which is why I always make a disclaimer to say that this is not a professional financial advice. This is just my opinions. Personally, I believe that this is one of the stocks in the JSE which is just so undervalued, and those that probably go in and consider loading the boat might see themselves with good returns, obviously, in the long term. And now, like I said, let me stress this again to say that I'm not saying go and buy this stock, because this is not professional financial advice. But one thing for sure, if you enjoyed this video, I'll really appreciate if you can just hit that likes button, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Now, without a waste of time, the stock that I personally believe or see that it is really undervalued and it's trading at a massive discount, it's none other than Sibanye Stillwater. Now, this is a company that we've discussed a couple of times on this channel. I mean, this is a company that, ladies and gents, the first time I think we discussed, we were looking at, of course, I think their earnings, which obviously we discussed broadly there. But obviously, if you still check at their Q1 earnings, which for the period ending in March of course 2022, you'll notice that this is a company that continues to do well, because if you are to compare like the total revenues they generate versus the total revenues they generate for the quarter ending in December 2021, you'll notice that this is a company that continues to do very well. Now, ladies and gents, what is it that really makes me to believe that this stock is undervalued? Well, as seen on the screen, notice that the companies in its industry, or rather its peers, when you look at the PE ratio as seen on the screen, you notice that Sibanye Stillwater is the one with, I can say, the lowest PE ratio when comparing to all the company listed on this industry of precious metals and mining. Now, as seen on the screen, you notice that the highest company with the high PE ratio here, ladies and gents, it is AngloGold. AngloGold currently has a PE ratio seen on the screen of around 12.8, and Sibanye Stillwater, ladies and gents, it is the one that has a PE ratio of 3.2. And of course, I'm not talking about those companies with a negative PE ratio, because those ones are not profitable. But looking at Sibanye Stillwater, as seen on the screen, you'll notice that its PE ratio is just too low when comparing to all the other companies in this industry, which, guess what? This just definitely means that chances are very high that Sibanye Stillwater is way undervalued, which is something that is incredible, because like I always say, PE ratio, it's one of the key factors that obviously you can use to determine if a company is overvalued and or undervalued. And how you do this, ladies and gents, is you can go to the companies, or you can go to companies in the industry of the company that probably you want to buy or invest in, and check or compare that PE ratio of the company you want to buy shares against the companies in its industries or against its peers. If you find that the PE ratio of the company you want to invest in is below the average of most companies in its industry, then that company, chances are high that it's undervalued. Whereas if you find that that company is having a PE ratio which is over the average on its industry or in its industry, then chances are high that the company that you want to buy, it's overvalued. So this is one of the key terms that when I look at it, especially comparing with the other companies in Sibanye Stillwater's industry, which is precious metals and mining, it is showing me, or it is revealing to me that, or it appears that this company, Sibanye Stillwater, is undervalued. I mean, there's also a company which is trading at a price earnings ratio of around 19, and most of them, they are having a PE ratio of around 10, 11, and still 6. But looking at the fact, or checking at the fact that Sibanye has, or it's trading at a PE ratio, or it's currently sitting with a PE ratio of around 3.2, just makes me to really like this company even more. I mean, this is a company that I continue to load the board, because as seen on the screen, you notice that even last week, I think I bought over 200 shares of Sibanye Stillwater, which is something that makes me want to continue loading the board, because this is one of the stocks that remains, in my opinion, to be undervalued when comparing to the companies in its industry. This is a company that its fundamentals, its future prospects are just so massive. I mean, like I said, when you look at something like their earnings, you'll notice that obviously they reported better earnings than the earnings they had reported in December. Even when you look at their net profits, you'll notice that their net profit was way much better than the net profit they reported in the Q4 of 2021, which is something that must just show you that this is a company that is recovering. Though these earnings, or the Q1 earnings, we saw them, of course, dropping from, when comparing to the Q1 earnings they reported back in 2021. It is something that obviously I personally believe that with time, this is a company that is going to continue to do really good, which is why we are seeing already their net profits, or the profit after tax, even improving when comparing to, of course, the net profit after tax they reported in the Q4 of 2021. Now, if you are to look in the next key term, and that is, of course, the earnings yield, which is just next to the, of course, the PE ratio, you'll notice that Sibanye Stillwater has the most earnings yield when comparing to most companies in its industry. In fact, it is the one that is having the best, or the highest earnings yield, which is something that is truly amazing, because this tells us that this is a company that, in terms of earnings, it can do really well comparing to all the other companies in its industry, which is something that obviously must just motivate you again to probably load the board, consider adding this stock into your portfolio. Otherwise, also, if you check the dividend yield, it currently has a dividend yield of around 11.8, which is something that must just show you that its dividend relative to the share price, the dividend yield is around 11.8%, which is something that is still showing you that this is a company that not only is it expected to do well, but it's a company that is also paying good dividends. I mean, to have a dividend yield of 11.8%, it's one of the things that, of course, attracts investors, or retail investors, into coming and invest into a stock, because dividend, yes, it's one of the things that, as an investor, you get to be rewarded by the company you are personally investing in. Otherwise, with all that, guys, Sibanye Stillwater remains the company that I'm going to continue loading the boat in, because I personally believe that its fundamentals, its future prospects remains to be strong, and this is a company that continues to do well. I mean, last week I think they had a meeting where they were sharing their developments around, of course, their business, which made me to even like more. Those of you that have not went and watch, or went and view those developments, I would encourage you to go under the investors relation and just go to the latest news. You will find, of course, that those developments, or those news where they were indicating some of the latest developments and what they plan to do. Sibanye Stillwater remains to be one of my favorite local JSE stocks, and I personally believe, like I said at the beginning of this video, this is a stock, or one of the stocks, that is truly undervalued, or seriously undervalued in the JSE. Otherwise, with all that, guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit or click that notification bell, so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time I drop a new content. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And before you load the board, please do make sure that you do your own due diligence, so that at least you can be comfortable when you are investing onto this company. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey. And God bless you all.